lot of times I find myself trying to help people understand what the ultimate vision is, and realize to get from point A to point B requires a lot of stuff in between. When we're building a waterfall or escaping an entire yard, it looks like a bomb went off at first. It's just a disaster. And then you start putting pieces together, and I know customers become anxious to see what's the final result going to be. And a lot of times you can't until the whole thing comes together. When we build a waterfall like this and it appears to be sitting way out of the ground, it just seems so massive. But if you consider where I'm standing here, the water, once we're complete, will be up to here. So now you're not seeing all of this gray, this massive wall of stuff, and you're just seeing the waterfall with the stone down 5-6 inches into the water. It takes some of that away. And I think a lot of times people just can't see that. They micromanage each little piece. And if you don't have someone who has a good vision of the overall project, then I could see why someone would want to micromanage any particular piece. But if we look at the whole and we recognize that it's a process, to get from point A to point B, there's this process of all these pieces. And a lot of times you just have to believe in the magic, and you just have to let the magic work, because ultimately then the end result is spectacular. But we can't always see that when we're looking at one little piece. We're looking at something from one angle, maybe that looks like too much patio, maybe it looks like too much of the same thing. And if your eye doesn't have something to break that up, which ultimately is part of that stage process, well then it probably is too much. But if you can recognize there's going to be elevations, there's going to be changes in things, all of a sudden all of that makes sense. And it's the same thing with a waterfall. At first it just seems stark and large and out of place until everything else comes together, till the pool's full of water, and then once it's flowing, then there's landscaping in here and there's architectural interesting pieces in here, then it makes a lot of sense. But that initial point is always, oh, it seems so big and it seems so stark, but ultimately it'll be fantastic.